Hello, welcome back to another episode of Level Up with Gal. I am your host, Gal Pereno. You already know. Welcome back, freaking beautiful, amazing souls. And if you're new, welcome to the tribe. I'm so happy you are here. If you're returning, welcome freaking back. How are you doing today? Take a moment to give yourself freaking acknowledgement and love for showing up today, for tuning in today, for showing up as your best freaking self. And if you don't feel good, you know what? At least you are listening and tuning in to improve your freaking life, and you get kudos for that too. All right. I love every single one of you. Thanks for being here. And you know what we're going to do is in every episode, I'm going to drop tips and nuggets to help you heal in your journey. And I'm going to share stories of my healing journey and how I've gone through some freaking shit and how I've worked with that shit and how I'm still healing through some of that shit too. The healing journey is always a work in progress. So don't beat yourself up. If you're new to the game or you've been in this game for a long time, it is a continue work in progress every single freaking day. Okay. So today we're going to dive in and talk about how to see the freaking blind spots in your life so you can start to change the habits in your life so you can start to get to where you want to be. Because if we don't know where like our blind spots are and the root of our problem, we're going to keep taking the same actions, reacting the same way, doing the same shit again and again, expecting different results, which is the definition of insanity. How many times have you been in the same situation when you're like, you know what, I'm going to do different this time. And just wait, I'm learning, mom. Okay. I'm totally learning and I'm going to do it so much better. And you just wait and you see that I'm grown up. I'm doing things so freaking different. And it's going to be so much better this time. But then it's not. But it's still the same, like literally the same shit, different day kind of vibe, right? How many of you guys can relate to that? Where you're like, yeah, today's today, it's going to be different. And then it's the same freaking thing. So how can you start to learn to pick up on your habits and have the awareness so then that way you can start to change how you react to things? Because if you can change how you react to things, you start to see why your habits are the way they are, why you react the way you do. Then you can really start to move the freaking needle and start to change things in your life. Okay. There's a lot going on right there. So don't worry. I'm going to freaking tune you in and teach you the stats. So, and it's gonna take time, right? You have to have it in your awareness, like anything. If it's not in your awareness and you don't know about it, how are you gonna improve it? How are you gonna do better? You're gonna keep doing things the way you've always done. You don't know what you don't know. Period. Like that is life in anything. You don't know how to drive a car until you learn how to drive a car, and then you know how to drive a car. Right? You're afraid to drive a car because you don't know how to drive a car, and then you learn. You're like, this shit's easy. So give yourself some time to soak in all the knowledge and then to implement it and then to show up and continue doing it. Okay. So let's say for actually, let me share a story and then we'll go into some tips. So for me, for a long time, you know, you've been following my journey. And if you're new, I'm going to do a quick story to bring you in. My dad left when I was like young. I was like 7 years old. And that played a huge role in my life. I bring this up many, many times because that was the start and the root of my trauma in my life. And it changed everything for me. You know, I went from this young, happy girl and, you know, nothing can go wrong to my world changing and my world changing. And from my perspective and what happened to me was it just everything changed. Like, you know, I didn't have both parents anymore. I went to new school, new friends, people made fun of me. And all the people that liked me, I was not around anymore. Everything, like, it was like my world was like upside down and flipped upside down, literally. That's how I felt. And I want to share with you that with my dad not being in my life, and it wasn't even just a divorce. You know, the divorce obviously played a role too in my trauma and what I went through, but it was more when he disappeared and he wasn't in my life anymore. And then I started to notice, right, years later, that every man that came into my life, well, I didn't notice it at first. Okay. So don't, if you're listening, you're like, I didn't notice right away, like, calm down. It's okay. I started to pick up that I was like looking for like safety net, looking for that love that I was missing from my dad, that I was longing for from my dad. And no man can, come in and like replace him and just be my dad. You know what I mean? But I was like looking for that because that was a missing piece in my own life. And I would miss like that love, and then whatever, whoever would give me the attention and love from a male, you know I would just deal with how they treated me, even if they treated me poorly and not so good, or relationships that I should have ended because they were assholes, but I still stayed in them because I was like, well, this guy cares about me and he loves me, and like, why would I leave? I didn't leave in those relationships until it was like so bad. And to the point where like I was cheated on and I still stay. Like, sounds freaking crazy, right? And I'm sharing this because maybe you can relate to this story too. And it would be to a point where like, God, why are you staying with them? Like, are you fucking crazy? Like, they're treating you like shit, physically and emotionally. And what are you doing? But I didn't want them to leave me because the trauma I had as a kid, my dad leaving me, it put this fear in me. Like, I didn't want to leave them, and I was fearful that they would leave me. And you see how I tied what happened to me as a kid with my dad to my relationships? Like, even though they were so shitty, I didn't leave. I still stuck in them because I didn't want to feel like sad and broken and be lonely, and I didn't want to feel lost, and I wanted things to work out. Things are not meant to work out 100%. Like, it's really freaking shitty, and I'm not with these partners anymore for a reason. Thank goodness. Thank you, God, universe, Buddha, whatever, right? Spirit guides and all of them. We're just going to call all of them and thank them, because everything happens for freaking a reason, and it shapes our lives to teach us lessons. Right. So the first time it happened to me, I didn't learn the lesson. It happened to me again. How many times have you heard like you're going to keep experiencing the same lesson until you freaking learn the lesson? Like, we all have heard that, right? I've heard that many freaking times. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Okay. Well, I kept experiencing this lesson. And until I understood where the root of it was coming from, and the root of where it was coming from was my childhood trauma. And like, that's how I realized, okay, this is causing me to pick bad guys and to stay in bad relationships. And I don't even see it, which is not okay. Right. And it's like, I need to go back and heal that little girl. I need to go back and heal from what happened to me, the trauma that happened to me, so I can move forward in life and find and pick a better partner, or attract a better partner and a good partner, someone who's going to value me and love me for who I am, for everything about me, the quirky stuff, the weird stuff, the whatever, when I have outbursts and all that. And that is now today my husband, who loves me for who I am. And as I change and I have transformed, he loves me for who I am, and so is supportive. And if I would have stayed with any of my previous partners, there's no way I would be able to go through my transformation, do what I do what I love, and share my knowledge and my voice with people. Like, this is my passion. There's no way anyone else I've been with before in the past would be as supportive. But if things didn't happen the way they did, and I didn't learn the lesson, and I didn't see my blind spot and see why I'm making the decisions that I made, I would have learned, and then attracted a better partner and chose to be with a better partner. Okay. So I want to share the story with you because maybe you're not attracting the right partner either, or a partner that will work long term. But then take a look at your life as a kid, or even as a teenager, whenever it could have happened for you. Was there some trauma that happened in your life? And even your parents don't have to be divorced. They can still be together, and there's still freaking trauma there. Maybe your parents stayed together and you grew up with a mom and dad, which is great. But let's say, for example, they were always fucking fighting, always yelling, and it was never like a happy family. Like freaking, I don't know, first thing that comes to mind is like Full House, right? Where it's like everyone's happy. And just because you grew up with two parents doesn't mean you don't have trauma. Like I've heard that from a client. It was like, well, I shouldn't have any trauma, gal, because I grew up with my mom and my dad, not like you. And they didn't mean it like that. It came out like that. And it was like, it was an opportunity for me, and I wasn't offended either. So it was an opportunity for me to help him see that just because you grew up with both parents doesn't mean that there wasn't some fucking trauma there. There was a lot of trauma there. His trauma was different than my trauma. Yes. But if you're listening to this, you're like, well, I have a mom and a dad, so I don't have any trauma. Like, I don't know why I keep picking the wrong partner. No, that that is not why. Because if you grew up seeing your parents fighting all the time, right? Arguing all the time, you may be thinking that that is what you should be in, like a relationship where you're fighting all the time, and that is okay, and that is normal to get treated like crap, to get yelled at, and for you to always have your blood pressure really high and to always be fighting, and then that is love. If that's what you always saw, that's what you think is love. So, for example, if that is something you experience in your partners today, and your relationships are always like chaotic and arguing, and there's like no peace, and you like it doesn't always just feel right, like what you hear people say, and it's like it's hard to be in that relationship. I want you to take a moment and look at your life and how you grew up in the environment, and what was it like for you, and how is it playing a role in your life today, in your partners, right? And maybe it's not a relationship. Maybe it's a habit that you have. Did you pick up a bad habit from one of your parents or one of your siblings because you grew up seeing that? It could be that, or it could be something that happened to you as a kid, as but trauma. Maybe it's not the same trauma as mine, where my parents got divorced and my dad was no longer in my life. Maybe your trauma was different. Maybe you were bullied, like me too. I mean, it was that, but you grew up with both parents and you had loving siblings. Your trauma is your trauma, and it affects the things you do today, how you show up, how you decide to do things in your life. And you're going to continue to make those same freaking choices and decisions and mistakes until you go to the root of where it started, to peel back the onion to see what happened. And we can't change the past. Of course we can. But what we can do is acknowledge what happened, having our awareness, know where it started, and revisit it to see like, that is what caused me to act this way. Oh my gosh, I've been carrying that trauma my whole life. That's why I'm so reactive when the certain person asks me certain questions, even though they didn't do anything to me. It triggers something in me. Because when someone triggers something in you, that's a spot in your life you still need some healing. But if you don't have the awareness of why or where it started or anything, then you're not going to know how to start to heal from that. You can't change it, but you can start to heal from that situation, what happened to you. So let's use that example. Let's say you grew up with parents fighting all the time, and you're in relationships now where you're constantly always freaking fighting, and it's exhausting. Now that you know it's in your awareness, I want you to ask yourself, are you picking partners that bring chaos? Because that is actually what you're attracting, because that's what you're used to. And I want you to ask yourself, is that what you want? Do you want to continue attracting partners and to be in a relationship where it's chaotic and it's stressful and you're always arguing? And if it's not what you want, I want you to write down, what do you want in a partner? Like, what kind of relationship do you want? And also, after that, I want you to go back to a moment, just write it down. When was a moment that you listening to this triggered in your mind of when it all started, where it started, when it all started? So you can have it in your awareness. Gotta know where it started, have it in your awareness, address it. You gotta feel it to heal from it. Then you can change your habits and your actions and life and decisions and start to go forward and to stop that habit, to stop that pattern. So you can see that was your blind spot. Like, holy shit, I've been acting this way because I saw this my whole life. And in my mind, I thought that was okay. In my mind, I thought this was normal. But I'm realizing now it's not normal. Okay. So for me, I thought, being in a relationship where there would be some arguing that was normal. Because I remember seeing my parents argue. Thought that was normal. This is what relationship is. You know what I have learned? That is not normal. My relationship is not perfect. No one's relationship is perfect. But I tell you what, my husband and I, we do not yell at each other. Like we don't yell. Like on my past relationship, we'd be screaming. I'm like, I would have such a headache because they would just piss me off so much. We'd be arguing so much that I couldn't even hear my own freaking thoughts. And my head would just pound and I'd be so angry. But my relationship now, it's not like that. We do not argue, we communicate, and it's a work in progress. Okay. We've been together going on 15 years, and we are very different people today than we were when we started dating when I was 19 years old. Okay. So cut yourself some slack too. But it's communication. You have to attract the right partner, you have to communicate with each other, you have to give each other the space. And I was not always this way, where I'm gonna keep it real. I remember time in our relationship when we would be upset at each other and I would want to talk right now. Like, and my husband's like, no, I need some time to like process everything going on. I'm like, no, we're going to talk right now. We're going to address it. And I'm like, I'll be so angry because guess what? That's what I was used to doing in my past relationships. And that's what I was used to seeing growing up as a kid. So I thought that's what we should do. Like, we're going to tackle this right now. But I learned that sometimes taking a few moments away from each other is actually healthy, and to not say things that you're going to regret. So I don't approach disagreements like that anymore. I don't even call it fights because we don't fight. We'll have disagreements and we'll annoy each other. That's normal. We're two different humans living life together. So I'm sharing that if that helps you in your relationship or helps you attract the right partner, or for you to know what kind of partner that you freaking want in your life. And that's just one example of a blind spot. It could be how you act at work. Maybe you're always really reactive because that's what you're used to as a kid. That's what you saw and you thought that was normal. Maybe your mom was always reactive of everything, or had high anxiety or super dramatic, for example. So you're super dramatic now. Everything that you go through in life, and maybe you're like, oh my gosh, everything's gonna like everyone's dying. Like maybe that's how you react. Or you're like, everything's falling apart, the world's falling apart. But it's like, bro, chill out. Like you just drop, a pencil. Like it's okay. So it's all about how we react and the experiences we've had. And if we don't notice it and see our blind spots, we keep reacting the same way. We keep making the decision mistakes, the same freaking patterns again and again and again. So when you are unsure, maybe you're listening, you're like, how do I even know like where some of my blind spots are? It's really hard to see your own blind spots. Okay. I'm going to keep it real with you because when it's your life, you're living your life, right? So a saying one of my mentors said to me, and I'll forever remember it. He said, when you're in the jar, it's hard to read the label. When I first heard that, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I don't understand this. But think about it this way. When you're living in your life every single day and it's your life, it's hard to see anything else. Just like when you're giving advice to a friend, it's easier to give them advice because you're not in the situation. You're seeing it from the outside. That's literally what that means. When you're in the jar, it's hard to read the label. When you're in the jar, you can't read the label, right? So when you're in your life, everyday life, functioning and doing things, making decisions, it's hard to see those habits. It's hard to see the blind spots because it's your life versus someone else's. You're like, hey, bingo, it's right there. I can see it. And even when you see it and you give your friend advice, your friend doesn't listen to you. You're like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be heartbroken. She should have fucking listened to me, or like shouldn't have wore the outfit and now she's complaining and people are making fun of her or whatever. Okay. They don't see it. Like it's harder to see it when you're in it. And in order to be able, you can develop how to start to see your blind spots and everything, but it takes time to pay attention. Pay attention to your habits, your actions, how you react. And it's really hard. I get it because we live in a world where it's like fast paced. It's like our lives is like the fast lane on the freaking freeway. You know what I mean? And you got to take yourself out of that fast lane and go into the slow lane and pay attention to how you react to things. Like when you get really angry at work or at, your freaking sibling or significant other, take a moment like, whew, I really, really reacted right now. Like, why am I so angry? where is this coming from? Is this because of the situation, or is it actually rooted even deeper? And then like those emotions from your childhood or teenage years, like just coming through, bubbling up, like a freaking volcano, and you're about to explode, or you did explode. Slow down, go in that slow lane, pay attention to how you react, how you feel in situations, your habits. And then the next step is going to be look at your life and does any other areas in your life, has it happened to you before? Has that same lesson come up before? And then have you made the same decisions again and again and again and again? And when you start to put those pieces together, the next piece is going to be like you have that awareness now. The next piece is going to be, how can I change my path now? Now that I connected the dots, I see the situation. I look backwards and I see the multiple situations. And when I went through something very similar and I made the same decision and I'm getting the same lesson again and again now. And now I see where it started from. The root of it started from when I was a kid or when I was a teenager or when I was in my 20s. It could be different. It's going to be different for every single person. Now I see that. The next step is like, how do I address it so I don't keep making the same mistakes? You got to know your path and where you've been in order to know where you want to go. Okay. And where you want to go in terms of not making the same mistakes. Okay. So put all the pieces together, all the puzzle pieces. And then I want you to ask yourself truly, now that I know this, and when this happens to me again, or if you're still dealing with that situation, how am I going to show it differently? What decision am I going to make today or the next time this comes up so I don't keep staying on the same hamster wheel again and again and again and again, and I can actually go on a different path, like a train, like you're going on the same path and then you come to a crossroad. So where you can make a decision and be confident in it and then take a different route on the railroad track instead of staying on that same cycle or the same hamster wheel, driving yourself freaking crazy, making the same mistakes again and again and again. Okay. So for me, I'm going to go back to the relationship example. When I started to realize like, oh my gosh, like I am really literally attracting these really like not so nice people. And we're always arguing, like it's driving me nuts. Like I want to attract somebody who's kind to me and we can just get along. We just hang out and do whatever. Like we want to, go to the movies, we go to the movies. We want to go to dinner, we go to dinner. We want to go for a run, let's go for a run. Like I want to attract a partner that literally likes me for me. And not even knowing it, to be honest, I manifested my husband. And literally, I met him. And when the moment I met my husband, I was like, this guy is somebody special. And I don't know why. I just feel so strongly drawn to him. And I'm going to get to know him. And I was talking to somebody. I wasn't like in a relationship, but I was talking to somebody else. Your girl was talking to somebody else from another state. But when I met my husband, I was like, oh my God, like something about this guy, I'm going to get to know him. I don't know. My gut and my intuition was like, girl, you need to go get to know him. Like he is something special. And when I got to know him more, he was that kind person and we got along so well. Like I was like, this feels like so unbelievable. And to me, that's what a relationship should be like. It should just be so easy and just always like it's always felt right. And my husband and I always say that. And truly, all my other relationships did not always feel right. They always felt wrong, to be honest. But I have no regrets. They taught me so freaking much and taught me what I wanted. And I want to share this with you because you have to acknowledge the shitty moments and the mistakes you've made in your life, whether it's relationship, jobs, when you got fired from a job, maybe you were like super bad as a kid or overreactive as an adult now, today. You have to acknowledge your mistakes so you know how to go forward and how you can start to improve your life, attract that partner, attract your people, like your freaking good friends, attract that job you want, attract the freaking car that you want, attract the financial abundance so you can buy the freaking car that you want. Okay. So I hope you found this episode helpful. I know it takes time to figure out your blind spots and practice. So listen to this episode a couple times to help you. And if you need help, reach out to me. If you want to dive deeper, like this is my jam, reach out to me. Let's talk. Like if you want help, you want to work with me one-on-one, let's talk. I offer 3 and 6 month packages, and let's start freaking finding your blind spots. Like it's so fun to me. And like it's fun to me in a way of like I get to be that person to help someone see their blind spot, and I get to watch them walk through this transformation, just to get to that crossroad and to take the different path than the path they've been taking. I love it so much to be able to be someone's support system, to be able to be like, hey, this is why things aren't working out, like because of this. And if you resonate with my energy and you vibe with me and you want to learn more, you want to work with me, holla at your girl. Like let's talk and let's start freaking changing your life together. I love it. It's my passion. I love helping people. If you cannot tell, it's truly my passion. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you follow me on my social accounts, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Gao_Pereno, GAO_PERAINO. I appreciate you so much. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, share this episode with your friends, family, exes, baby mamas, whoever, neighbors. It doesn't matter. Share with whoever you feel can use this energy and this episode to start changing their life. And email me any episodes or topics that you want to talk about, or DM me. Email me at lifecoach@galperrain.com, or DM me on any of the platforms. Let me know. I'm here to help you every single day, to give you nuggets and info and things that I've learned to help you to fast track your freaking life. I love you so much, and keep shining bright, keep doing you. Do not ever let anybody dim your light. Turn that flashlight on, homie, and shine freaking bright. And I'll catch you in the next episode.